5K subs. What's up? This is John for John Branch for Photography, and I'm super humbled and excited and hyped that I finally hit 5K subs on the channel. I wanted to thank all of you all for subbing and liking my content, and I'm just really happy that the content I've been putting up is bringing value to everybody and you like everything and people are learning stuff, because that's always been my main goal. So I love teaching and I love sharing information, so thank you all for liking my stuff, and I hope to keep it coming. Don't forget to ask any questions in the comments or DM me or hit me up on Instagram, because I usually will get back to you. Also, I wanted to give a huge shout out to my first ever patron, which is Kuba Vichta, and I'm sure I totally butchered your name. I'm so sorry. I butcher even the simplest of names. But thank you so much for being a patron. I really do appreciate it, and it helps me keep creating content on the channel. Don't forget, if you haven't checked it out yet, I do have a Patreon you can check out in the description, and I do teach classes, and I plan on putting more detailed information and videos up on my Patreon soon. So because I don't have anything to give away this time, I'm gonna do an AMA for 5K. So if you were following my Instagram or Twitter, you saw I threw up some Ask Me Anything prompts, and y'all have thrown me some questions. So let's go ahead and get into those answers. But also I'm gonna throw in a photo critique and edit in there as well. So stick around while we do all that stuff. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and let's go ahead and get into these questions. So I'm gonna read this stuff straight off of Instagram. So yeah, we have Reese the First, which is the first question, asking, what is the most challenging part about finding your identity as a photographer? So these are y'all asked some really good questions, because some of them are like deep. I can make whole videos about it. So I won't go on for too long. But finding your identity as a photographer definitely is the hardest part. It took me the majority of the whole 5 years of me shooting to really find that. And I feel like your identity as a photographer can be multiple parts depending on also what you're doing. So for example, since I'm a wedding photographer, my identity was also what my clients are gonna want for their weddings. I had to define what I was for my wedding clients. And I think in a way, every photographer is finding that out for whatever they're doing. Like as a street photographer, who are you as a street photographer? If you have clients, what are you to your clients? So really the hardest part about it, I think honestly, is getting out of our own heads and not trying to follow trends and follow the crowd. It really comes down to just being yourself, honestly. Like when I was able to find myself as a photographer, it was when I let go of anything else I was holding on to and was like, I'm just gonna do me. I'm gonna do me, and either they're gonna like me or they're not. And there'll be a period at first where people just won't be feeling it, but then you'll start getting more and more where people will just gravitate exactly to your stuff. And the people who don't like you won't gravitate to it. And you know what? That's fine. You don't want those people to gravitate towards you, because y'all aren't, it's like water and oil. You don't mix. It just doesn't happen, and that's fine. A great example of that actually is if you look at the About Me section on my website. So I wrote it out, and it's very just like nonchalant. Like most wedding photographers are like, I'm a award-winning 20-time wedding photographer, and that's fine. If that's the type of client you're looking for, then that's what you should portray. But for me, that's not what I'm trying to do. So I'm just like, hey guys, this is me, whatever. I like playing video games. I love playing Overwatch, and I cannot tell you how many clients I've gotten over the last year who hit me up and they're like, yo, you play Overwatch? That is so dope. And they want to work with me off of stuff like that. So, just being yourself, like all the way in yourself. Or what Eric Floberg has a great phrase, which I cannot remember right now, but it's like,
don't forget to lean into what makes you different.
Be the most authentic you, or something like that. I'll post a link to one of his videos up, Squad Fam and all that good noise. But yeah, I'll post a link to one of his videos up above. And his saying, I cannot remember it. I just can't remember it, but it's like hands down one of the best. And I think that's how you can really find yourself as a photographer. Next up, we have By Tom W, which I'm sure yet again, I'm butchering all the names, especially Instagram names. I just can't. But his question is, does the Division 2 fix issues from the first game? So if y'all don't know me yet again by now, I'm a pretty heavy gamer. Like I have to play games at least an hour a day. if not more. Like maybe I have a problem, I don't know. I love playing games, and I'm a huge Tom Clancy fan, so I love most all Tom Clancy games. So the Division 1 I was a huge fan of. The Division 2 I've been playing, I'm like 40 hours deep, and it's so good. Oh my goodness. To answer this question, does it fix the problems? I'm a little biased. I didn't really see most of the problems of the Division 1. There were problems, obviously, and the bullet sponginess, I didn't mind, but it definitely was a bit drastic. But my answer would be, yeah, they fixed most all the problems. The game has so much to do. It's just fun. The enemies are like, they move better, so they make you move and do things. You don't just like, I can remember on the Division 1, you would run up, be like, you run to here, you run to there, you get on this cover, you sit on the cover for like 30 minutes and just until all the enemies are done, because they took 50 years to kill, and then now you go here and you get on the cover and you shoot the, you know, like it was. Whereas Division 2, you go and do stuff, you're like, yeah, you get on the cover and this dude flanks you, and then this big guy with a hammer comes running at you, and you're like, ah. So yeah, the Division 2 is hype. If you don't play it, get on it. If you play on PC, get at me and we can team up. This next question from Graventina, I believe it is, is just, have you ever thought about doing videos for wedding? I have. I know I am not ready for it at all. I rented a gimbal like a week ago and tried to use it just on some simple videos, and the failure was real. Video is so hard. I like can't wrap my head around it, but I'm really interested, and especially since using the X-T3 and seeing all of its video options, I'm really interested in it. I might do it because I technically have some chops in video against doing YouTube and then also being an audio like professional and like going to school for audio. A lot of that's not foreign to me. I used to work in post-production audio for videos, so I just haven't done it for weddings yet. But maybe one day. I'm definitely interested. I'm trying to learn. So Jacob's Photo asks, how do I get my wedding clients? Now, I do have a couple of videos which I'll link above where I talked about like getting your first wedding client. So in that video, that was kind of how I started. I was doing stuff like Thumbtack and word of mouth and friends and family and close stuff. Now I use mainly the knot, and with that, and I plan on doing a video about it, it's all about presentation and yet again being authentically you and finding those people who want that authentic you for their wedding day. So that's the short answer, because yet again, I could make a whole video series, and I do plan on making a couple of videos on how to get more wedding clients. But I do the majority, I want to say like 80% of my booking from the knot and advertising on the knot. Bera Photo asked, how do I like the focusing with the Fujis for receptions? It is so good. I've had no real problems. It does depend on the lens though, however. So like the 56-1.2 or the 35-2, I've actually had some problems where it's a little slow at times depending on how lit the room is. But outside of that, it's really good. And especially on the X-T3, the focusing is so good on the X-T3. Like I can't get enough of it. The face detection is great, but I have noticed the distance to face detection isn't that great. I'm hoping that the update that's coming from the X-T30, which mine just shipped, but I'm hoping that the update that's coming along that will make it like the X-T30 will make a difference in that. But it's good. It's the biggest things in the X-T3 that have really upgraded me from the X-T2 have been the focusing and the image quality. Like the image quality is like totally different from the X-T2. I was like, oh, I'll just upgrade to upgrade. It won't be a big deal. The image quality is a big difference. I can't even say this name. I'm the worst. Blaz Ruiz 17, I guess your name is. He has 2 questions. So where are you from? Raleigh, North Carolina, born and raised. I left for a while and I was going to school in Boston, and I lived in New York for about 10 years or so. So that's where I actually started my wedding business, was in New York. But yeah, Raleigh, North Carolina is me. You know, good old take your shirt off, twist it around your head, you know. And then his other question was 50 mil or 35 mil and why? So that question can have a whole bunch of different sections to it. But I think the main things for me would be wideness of area. So if you don't have a lot of space, obviously you're gonna want 35. 50 is too tight, especially depending on like if you're in a small room like my office here and stuff. You want to hit a 35, you just don't have the space. But let's say shooting portraits, right? I think there's a different feel and intimacy to your focal length. Like if you see a photographer who shoots everything at like 200 mil, it looks nice and it's cool. You get all this bokeh in the background, it's really cool, but you can almost feel that separation from the couple. You can tell that the photographer is standing like, you know, like 100 feet away from them or whatever to get the shot to look like that. Whereas if you're shooting with a 35, you're like all up in there and you can feel that intimacy by being up in there. You can see the up in there in the photo and it gives it a totally different feel. So sometimes I will shoot portraits at 35 and get like real close, like my microphone right here in front of me. Like I'll be all up on them, snap, snap, snap. It's wide enough to still capture the whole picture and it gives it a different kind of intimacy. Rye Wright Photos asks, what is my favorite type of photo and why? And that is the hardest question to answer. I mean, I have a really big draw to like Wes Anderson style stuff. I love symmetry. I love symmetry so much. And just like putting them dead center in the frame. And I love it to be wide. That's actually something funny because I used to hate shooting wide. And then my mentor like kind of talked to me about shooting wide and kind of made me practice it. And I fell in love with it forever. So like really huge wide scenes with straight lines, maybe some kind of architecture, and you just make the couple like tiny. Oh, like here are a couple shots exactly what I'm talking about, where like either I have them on a pier somewhere away from me or like by a building, and either there's lines or there's just like a really cool framing. I love it so much. And then by Julia Jita, if I said that right, I'm sure I butchered. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to everyone watching this video. She asked, how do I edit my photos? The short answer is I edit them in Lightroom, and I also use Exposure 4. Lightroom for all the color grading and all that stuff, and then Exposure 4 for my sharpening and grain. I could go into depth with that. I'll probably make more videos, but check out some of my live streams and I'll link some up above. You can see kind of my process for editing photos in there. That's the best place to find that stuff. So yeah, that's most of the questions. Let's go ahead and take a look at these photos and get a little critiquing going on in editing. Alright, so I had Emilio MX hit me up on Instagram. He was just asking about photos, photo critiquing, and stuff like that. So I figured I'd go ahead and throw one in the video because I think it's really cool. Now mind you, I'm not like the end-all be-all of photos, and I'm not like the biggest professional in the world and like a judge of photos or anything. So this is just gonna be me looking at the photos, kind of saying what I think, maybe giving some tips of things that I personally notice. So feel free also to throw some stuff in the comments if you notice anything. Please be nice with the critiquing. This is a constructive criticism, not like going on people because their photos aren't as great as you think they should be. Also, I do plan on doing some more stuff like this on my Patreon, maybe for my Patreon members. So if you like it, let me know and I'll try and do more of these. Obviously, I can't do them all the time, but I'd love to like see other people's photos and kind of show how I would edit them and stuff. So Emilio here sent me a couple of RAW files. He didn't send me the JPEGs at all, so I don't have the originals of how he edited them. But I'm just gonna go through and kind of critique them a little bit, give some tips on what I see, and just kind of go from there. Now I'm not gonna go over every photo, and I'm gonna do more stuff that would be my style of photo. So a lot of these portrait photos are gonna work a little bit better for me. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at them. I'm gonna start with this one here. So let's see, it looks like he has a T7i. I don't even know the Canon stuff anymore, but that's a really good camera. I remember seeing the T6s and I was like impressed, so that's awesome. So he's rocking with a T7. What kind of lens he got on it? 17-50, so I'm assuming that's a kit lens, but I'm not sure. So this is a cool shot. I like the reflection. The only thing for me, and I think it's framed like this because he wanted to get the reflection in here, but I would love to see more of her like closer to the center of the frame, but obviously you lose the reflection from that. Outside of that, I love the pacing of the photo a little bit. Like, it looks good to me overall. Like I said, again, these critiques are just simple, kind of how does the photo look, and then I'm going to edit them a little bit as well. Yeah, no, it looks good. Focus is on and stuff. The lighting is good. It looks like, what time was this? 2:40. Yeah, I mean the sun's kind of high, but it didn't look so bad. It might be a little bit overcast, but the direct light is nice. Yeah, let's go ahead and let's edit this real quick a bit. So what I usually do when I'm editing my photos is I'll first come in here and use the clone stamp or the heal tool and heal up anything that stands out to me a little bit. So we're just talking like any blemishes on the face. Obviously I'm not like a fashion editor, so I don't do any like extreme Photoshop stuff, just cleaning stuff up a little bit. I usually won't get rid of anything like this because that's just a part of her face. I like to keep people looking natural rather than being like, look at this flawless skin. I'm just not about that life, so. So there we go. If I had any like teeth in there, I would like clean up the teeth and stuff too if they weren't very white. Like I said, again, maybe I would crop it a bit, but we're gonna lose the reflection, which I think was the point of the photo. But I do just like kind of that middle crop. I'm a fan. And then I have my preset, which I'll throw on it, which is usually for Fuji, so I have to change this to auto. And then at that point I deal with white balance, the shadows and exposure, and I do not like the white balance at all. So my preset tends to be very cool. I'm a cool guy. I like cooler photos. And then yeah, that's where I would leave it basically. I keep the stuff very just natural to life. Like I don't change the colors too much. Let's check out this other one. This is more my cup of tea, closer to wedding photography. I like this shot a lot. The only thing I would say, and I noticed it from all the photos, is I don't know if you shoot wide very often, but I would try and shoot wide more often. Get used to shooting wide, because even stuff like this photo, I think would really stand out more if it was wider and you could see more of the area and kind of what was happening in it. Like, I wonder, does it show me? Oh, this was a 50 mil, so yeah, 50 mil 1.8. You can tell it's sharper too, just because it's the 50 1.8. But yeah, I would have shot this way wider, and it would have been really, really cool. This was also with the 50 mil. This is great framing. This is basically like standard wedding stuff. The only thing I don't like about it is it looks like this kiss is kind of forced, or it was like extremely posed rather than it was just a couple wanting to kiss each other. That's the only thing that really stands out to me. Let's go ahead and edit this one real quick. Oh, what's the ISO? 3200. Oh yeah, that's a little too high, because you can see it's just like super grainy. It works, it's livable. Like, that wasn't the first thing I saw, so like the T7, that's pretty good. That's pretty good ISO. But yeah, for 640 of a second, you probably could have came way down on the ISO. What time of day was this? 6 p.m. So it was getting dark. But yeah, 30, I would have definitely come down to maybe like 1,000, 1,200, 1,250, somewhere in there. And maybe that's why they look so blue, because they're way cooler than the background is, which I'm not sure why that is. So yet again, we'll go in. My mouse is like double clicking by itself, and it's irking me. Come in, clean up the face a little bit. I mean, there's not too much to really clean up. And then we'll see if auto white balance wants to do anything. There it goes. And then we'll throw my preset on it. too exposed. Yeah, keep it somewhere in there. I feel like I want the background is like warmer than they are, so I'd want it like here, but then they're too cool. So if something like that, you can use your brush tool and you can brush in different things. So you can do like, just using the option for warmer. And if there's not, you can create it yourself, because basically with the brush you can go in and say like, oh, I want to, you know, bring the temp up, and then you can brush that on them. I'm gonna auto mask it as well. And so you see it's warming up the area that I brush. And always remember that this is an option. I know in the past I used to not really think about this because I would be overall editing the whole photo, but you know, you're shooting with a raw photo, which means the whole range of information is everywhere on the photo. So if you're painting in an adjustment, it's still like raw within the area that you're painting in that adjustment. So, you know, I can go in here, warm them up, but then keep the whole scene as cool as I want it to be. And then either I can adjust the whole photo, which would still make them cooler, or I can just adjust this itself so they're not as warm. So you see if I turn down the temp here, then they get cooler still. And I can always go back, warm them up a bit. Yeah, and then get the overall look like that. But yeah, this is pretty good. I like this photo. The framing's really nice. I like how they're like nice and center. It's nice and even. Really good stuff. So yeah, keep up the great work. Your photos look good. The biggest thing for anybody is just keep shooting, keep trying. That 50mm 1.8 looks good. That's a steal of a lens. If y'all have any other questions too, or like I said, want to see more of any type of photo critique, let me know and I'll do some more of that, maybe occasionally or even on my Patreon for my patrons. So yeah, thank you all again so much for all the subscribers, for all the people who follow me and support me. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it, and I love bringing content to you all. Yet again, if there's anything you want to see, hit me up in the DMs, send me private messages. I'll get back to you. It just may take me 50 years. I take forever, especially during wedding season, but I will get back to you at some point. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to check out my Patreon if you're interested in any mentoring, and I will be with you all next time. All right, peace.